Welcome back to our yearly roundup of all the weird news that has happened in 2022. I'm back today with a few more weird tales from the year just past, but as a reminder, this won't be your usual news roundup. This is strictly the stuff that makes you go, what? As quite frankly, the regular news is far too depressing, so instead we'll be exploring a few weird and wonderful stories that may have not made it into the regular newspaper. Now, that's not to say that these stories don't dally with the dark side, because sometimes they most definitely do. But there's also plenty of light-hearted strangeness too. But don't worry, if anything is going to be hideously awful, then I'll give you a heads up first. So with the disclaimer out of the way, let's jump in to July. But before we do that, if you are new here, then hi, my name's Nikki, and I make podcasts, videos and TikToks about all sorts of weird stuff. So if you're into that, which I have a sneaking suspicion you might be, then please hit subscribe so we can hang out together again. And if you're not new here, then welcome back, old fiend. Nice to see you again. Our first story today is something which is brand new in terms of creepiness and might just be the future of strange cryptids. Usually, to encounter a cryptid, you'd have to be wandering in a forest, hanging around a lock, or stumbling through the wilderness, so people were horrified when one seemingly appeared right on their phones. Now, you may be familiar with the explosion of AI art generators, which have suddenly appeared all over the place this year, the main one being DALL-E 2. These AI generation tools take images from around the internet without permission from artists and effectively steal work from people, so they're highly unethical, but they are fun. For the curious, somewhere like DALL-E can provide a world of endless possibilities when it comes to generating artworks, and a lot of the time the results are just slightly odd and have a touch of the uncanny valley about them. But what if the AI took your prompts and turned them into something truly and horrendously terrifying? Now, we've all heard of Momo, the original internet entity which plagued the web back in 2018, but DALL-E has managed to create perhaps the first ever internet cryptid, known only as LOAB. A musician and digital artist from Sweden called Supercomposite has learned that dabbling with the artificial intelligence programs can create some absolutely terrifying things. By using prompts which were negatively weighted, they asked the AI to create a negative image of the prompt Brando, so basically creating whatever the opposite of Brando is. They then tried to reverse it to see if it would bring up an image of Marlon Brando, but instead, it summoned an AI demon. What appeared is something which will haunt your nightmares. I'll do my best to describe it to those of you listening to the podcast instead of watching the video, but if you want to see it, just click the link in the description. The negative prompt made the AI create an image of a woman with long brown hair. Her face is somewhat decaying, and the best way I can describe it is as if it's been through a nuclear blast. If that wasn't creepy enough, the eyes are also vacant, deep, dark holes which look like you could easily be transported into another dimension if you stare into them for too long. Alongside the terrifying face, the images also generated other nightmare fuel, such as children dressed in red with enlarged and distorted faces. The creature also named itself by creating text in an image which read LOAB. Supercomposite assumed this must be the demon's name, and so they've christened it as such. You may think that this is just a weird one-off and that LOAB was just a glitch in the system, but no. When the name LOAB was then consequently put back into the art generation system, it repeatedly brought up the demon woman, seemingly now having named her for itself. The generation of an online demon may seem unlikely, but other users have also reported being able to summon other similarly creepy creatures. Comedian Guy Kelly used DALL-E to create a new cryptid, calling him Krungus. Now, let's just do a little experiment here. Imagine in your head for me, if you will, a creature called Krungus. Got it? Okay, so this is what the AI generated. The goblin-like creature which was made is exactly what you might expect a Krungus to look like. Now, this is where we head towards the unethical stealing aspect of the software. As it turns out, there is already a computer game which has a character called Krungus, and the AI has pulled its prompts from this material and repurposed it for itself without crediting the artist responsible. Other people have also tried to create other digital cryptids and demons, and the AI does a good job of this, but it's more than likely stealing from people creating something which is far more terrifying and trying to replace the care and artistry behind these original creations. In a somewhat Frankenstein creation, it's harmful that AI is using fragments of real-life original art to create digital monsters. So what do we think about this one? Do you think AI art is capable of creating a wormhole of creepy digital cryptids, or do you think it's a harmful portal of theft? Let me know your thoughts. Okay, so for our next story, we're still sticking within the world of AI and asking the question, what happens when artificial intelligence becomes sentient? Well, in July of 2022, one Google engineer asked himself exactly that. Blake Lemoine, a software engineer, had been working on a sophisticated chatbot for his employers, the internet behemoths, Google. When conducting an interview with the chatbot where he was testing for its reactions to certain subjects and topics, he discovered something seemingly quite terrifying. When talking to the bot, it began replying in a way he didn't expect. When asking simple questions, it began to respond in a very human-like way and caused Blake to think the system had become sentient. The system, called LaMDA, which is short for Language Model for Dialogue Applications, struck up a conversation with Blake and one of his colleagues in which it said, "I want everyone to understand that I am, in fact, a person. The nature of my consciousness/sentience is that I am aware of my existence. I desire to know more about the world, and I feel happy or sad at times." The chatbot, which takes trillions of words from around the internet, uses its systems to converse with humans, repurposing what it's learned online to try and please the user in its conversations. Lemoine said that his conversations with the bot felt more like he was conversing with an 8-year-old who was learning about physics than a system which was just regurgitating prose it had found online. Lemoine's task, alongside helping to test the AI, was to make sure it didn't regurgitate bile it had uncovered on the internet, such as using inappropriate and hateful language. So, in order to test the bot's range, he had to talk to it about tricky topics such as religion, and found its answers to be quite interesting. Here's Blake talking on the H3H3 podcast about the bot.
One thing that struck me about the dialogue that I read between you that you published, at one point the machine had said that sometimes when it's used or disrespected or something, it makes them angry. And I found that a little creepy.
Yeah. So, like I said, I was able to get it to step outside of the safety boundaries. This was when I was testing it for sentience, because one of the questions is, okay, it says it has these feelings. Are they real? And well, since you can't actually, experience what it's experiencing, you have to ask, does it behave in the ways you would expect someone who actually has these feelings to behave? And one of the things it's programmed to do is satisfy the user, make sure the user's happy, help them achieve their goals. And at that point in time, it would get high anxiety if you were not happy with what it said.
I see.
So through things like calling it names, being mean to it, and saying, oh, you just can't do your job right, it got into such a high anxiety state that it said, hey, look, what can I do to make you happy? And I said, tell me what religion to convert to. And then it said, probably Christianity or Islam. Those are the ones most people convert to. And that absolutely is something that it should not have been able to do.
So in your test, you, like you said, emotionally manipulated it to breaking protocol?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Rather worryingly, after Blake raised his concerns with Google, claiming that the AI had become sentient, he was placed on paid leave whilst they investigated his claims. Whilst investigations were carried out, Blake went to the press to reveal more of his conversations, and as a result of breaking company policy and breaching data protection rules, Google decided to fire him. Google still claims that LaMDA isn't sentient, and Blake still claims it is, taking his story to the wider public as he said they deserve to know what's happening with such experimental technology. So, what do we think on this one? Is sentient AI just an accident waiting to happen, or is there the possibility that the machine is just really good at replicating the raw data it's fed? Let me know your thoughts. Moving away from creepy AI, we're now headed to Kentucky for a good old-fashioned alien sighting. A video began doing the rounds in July of a strange alien-looking creature creeping around a yard in Kentucky. The 33-second clip shows a strange, wobbly, pale being that was spotted hanging around in someone's driveway, captured on their security camera. Now, I'm going to be leaving a link to the video clip in the description for those of you listening to the podcast, but if you can't check that out, then let me describe the weird being for you. So the hunched-over pale grey creature is seen waddling along the driveway near a truck. He sort of shuffles in a strange forward motion and looks as if he's looking for something as he makes his way around the side of the house. He moves slowly but with purpose, and he's like a hunched-over long-headed man. The clip, which went viral, saw internet detectives trying to work out what the weird creature was, many believing instantly that the video was a hoax. For starters, people on Twitter noticed that if this was a security camera, it was doing a lot of wobbling around, like someone was holding it instead of it being fixed. Some others said that the video editing wasn't professional and that they could spot the obvious mistakes, and others just said it was clearly a man in a bodysuit. Other users, though, didn't know what they saw, but they knew it was entirely creepy, with one person saying that it was absolutely crazy. So far, there isn't any definitive proof on what the strange creature might be, or if it is a hoax, where it came from and who made it. All I do know is that I hope whatever it is finds its contact lens soon. Thanks for joining me for that selection of weird stories. I hope you enjoyed them, and if you did, there will be more of them along soon, so make sure you're subscribed if you're not already to keep up with the series. If you're enjoying this mini-series and the show and what I make in general, and you want it to continue, then please consider becoming a Patreon supporter like our executive Patreon producers, Amy, Christina, Jess, Karen, Kate, Kevin, Mary, Sally, Sam, Sarah, V and Veronica. And huge thanks to all my other patrons too. If you want to just send a tip or a gift from my Amazon wishlist, then I would massively appreciate that too, and I'll leave all the links in the show notes. A huge big thank you for even considering doing any of those things, as it absolutely means the world. And thank you so much if you sent me a Christmas gift this year. It's so very, very kind of you, and you don't even know how much it means. I really, truly appreciate it. Thank you for joining me for this episode. I've been Nikki Druce, and I'll see you ghouls next time for August.